Okay. So, about this time last year, I directed my first short film. Now, this was a film that was very special to me because I was going to send it to colleges, and I did. But the other thing that was important about this film was that I was directing it, I was the DP, I was the editor, and I was the producer. Now, luckily, I was able to get some of my friends to come on as a skeleton crew, so I wasn't doing this alone. And of course, I had actors, and I legitimately could not have made this film without my actors. So I am incredibly thankful to the cast and crew of my film. Now, this film was very important to me because it was the first time that I had been putting together a production of this scale, even though this scale is relatively small. The film ended up taking 3 days to shoot. We planned on just doing it for a weekend, but we ran out of time to be able to film all the material. I believe the script that I wrote was, I think, 7 pages long. And 7 pages isn't a lot, but we had a pretty big time constraint. We had from the location closing till like kind of midnight to be able to film. So most days that we filmed from about 8:30 to 1 a.m.
Yeah, probably. Especially someone carrying like a 17-pound camera.
You're like very Jack Sparrow.
You're still recording. With the drive dirt.
So we took up 2 days on a weekend, and then 3 weeks after, we did our last shooting day. This film was an incredible learning curve for me. Being a full-time director is not something I typically do. I am typically the camera operator, the lighting, the look of the film, less so the acting. And being in the director role, it put me in a lot of interesting places where I had to talk to talent while also being in charge of the camera movement. I did not want to deal with audio at all. So I had a small audio crew come in to just boom and deal with the audio. Unfortunately, one of the issues we ran into while filming this film was the audio. So in the location that we were at, it had a big kitchen with a lot of LED lights and refrigerators. That became a pretty big problem in post. And to be honest, the audio that came out in post is not my favorite, and I did the best I could, but there was not much we could do on set. So the audio was something I should have thought about much before using that location, trying to think of like something we could do about it. So to all the upcoming directors, producers, you got to think about everything when you're looking at a location to use for a film. You got to think about what's the lighting gonna be like, what is the audio gonna be like. And when I was getting this location, I knew the setting was right because I was looking for like a kitchen, but I did not think about the audio at all. A few times I would take my phone and I would kind of frame out where things would be, like scenes, but I did not have any thought. I did not think at all about the audio, and that is something you have to think about as a producer or a director. Now, another thing that directors and producers should take into consideration is just how long setup is gonna take. So for all of the shoots we did, we had to completely bring all of the gear in, set it all up, and then at the end of the night, we had to take it all down and I had to take it home. For the 3 shoots we had to completely set up, we had to do all the lighting, we had to do all the audio again, and then at the end of the day, at the end of the shoot, we had to take all of it down. The setup and teardown was probably about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe. It was maybe even longer. There are a ton of things about this film that were just incredibly fun. A lot of them were problem solving. We dealt with a bit of problem solving in this film. One of them was this very specific lighting thing I wanted to do with this scene. Basically, the character was going to steal this soda, start drinking it, and as soon as he put his cup down, all the lights were supposed to turn off. We lit a fair bit of this scene. We did a lot of custom lighting in the whole film, which I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think it looks great. However, we did use house lights, and well, where some of the switches are to turn off the house lights, were in frame. My 12-year-old sister came on set one of the days, 2 of the days, which I'm super thankful for because she was very helpful. And she's teeny. She's a small person. One of the light switches to turn off the house lights was in the shot, but my sister, when those house lights turn off, is in the back left corner behind a sign, reaching up to turn off the house lights, along with also marking the scene. I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna look at the take, but she marks the scene and then walks back there, and then we start the scene and she turns off the lights. Problem solving. If you are a young filmmaker, it is so important to do the things. You have to film. You have to get as much experience as possible. I have been working as a freelance videographer and filmmaker for the past 2 years, and I've had a couple of gigs, but I've also just done a lot of free work. I did a lot of work for my high school and was able to use some of that to build up my portfolio. I got engaged with internships back at home, and that has increased my portfolio more than any of the work I've done on my own. But also, you have no reason to not make films. I'm shooting this video on my iPhone. Okay, listen. So I'm shooting this on my iPhone. Obviously, I have a microphone, I have a lighting setup. I understand that I have a bit more in my setup than most, but regardless of your lighting, if you have an iPhone, especially one that's like from 15 up, and you can shoot log. If you learn how to edit log, you don't even need to shoot in log. You have ProRes. If you have an iPhone, there are no excuses to not make a video. Everybody starts somewhere. I started making videos on an iPhone 7. And yes, I understand there is a massive camera rig over here. That's part of another video. You guys will see that soon. But I use my iPhone for all my behind the scenes now, until I hopefully get a action camera from DJI. Even if you have a camera, it is important that you just start filming. Build your portfolio. Now, what is amazing about this industry is that you can make your own work. As an actor, if you're not able to find gigs, you gotta start writing. You can write your own characters. You can write your own work. As a camera operator, as anything else in the industry, you can make your own work. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get paid for all of it. A lot of the work that I've done on my own, I have not gotten paid for. In fact, this short film I'm talking about, I spent $400 to do it. But the bottom line is that I'm able to use this short film as part of my portfolio work to show clients. And that brings me into probably the final piece of this video. I'm finally going to release this video on YouTube. I've been meaning to put this video on YouTube for a year. I was not gonna release it while I was sending it to colleges, but we're very much past that point. So I'm gonna just release it. And obviously it is not the perfect short film. I was very direct with the audio being a little interesting. However, I think it looks really good, and I think for it being my first film that I've directed, I'm very happy with it. So I need to give it to you guys to watch. You might not watch it, you might not enjoy it, but it is part of my portfolio now, and it's really part of my filmmaking history. So finally, I'm putting it on YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to inspire some of you new filmmakers and give you some tips on how to go about doing that. And really, I hope that I just inspired you to start making some type of content. So start doing the work. And honestly, use YouTube as a resource. Go find so many other filmmakers. I followed probably 10 filmmakers that do this as a profession. So build your portfolio. And I hope you enjoy the short film, Don't Steal the Soda. It's a very interesting name, I know, but me and my crew put a lot of work into it, and so I hope you enjoy it. Now, go off, start writing something, start editing something, make something to edit, and have a nice day.